Hello guys, and Russia desperately lacks people. And not just on the front lines, like the Kursk region, where you obviously see lack of people to defend Russian borders. But even on ordinary civilian positions, they lack people everywhere. And all because of huge Russian losses on the front lines. Putin believed his blitzkrieg plan will succeed. After it failed, he continued sending people to meat grinders in Ukraine and now finally in Russia without understanding the consequences. Right now, they desperately need people everywhere and they cannot get them. Not many volunteer to Ukraine and they need to mobilize new soldiers. Putin's Minister of Defense, or should I say Putin's Minister of Attack, begs him to start new mobilization. The last one was in 2022 and they have already killed all of them. But Putin is afraid to do so because this wave of mobilization can actually touch big Russian cities and this may lead to protests. Personally, I do not believe that protests are possible in Russia, but this real lack of people is coming. So let's discuss, will new mobilization start in Russia? What do we think about that in Ukraine? Are we afraid of that? And why actually all of that signals the end of the Putin's regime? My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see Russia defeated, subscribe. We will discuss that on the channel sometime very soon. And this lack of people is another proof that Russian Empire is collapsing. At the very start of his full-scale invasion to Ukraine, Putin believed blitzkrieg plan will succeed. And he used his super professional army. Approximately 250 soldiers entered Ukraine. That's insane. But I guarantee you that by now, the vast majority of them are in hell. And all the Russians fighting now, either on the front lines in Ukraine, and what a beautiful change on the front lines in Russia, are not professional soldiers. The majority of them are those who volunteered for money, who signed the contract with the Russian army, who sold their soul and their life actually for approximately $20,000. And that is a cosmic sum of money for people coming from the periphery of the Russian Federation. That is super depressive because, oh my God, you cannot even imagine how poor Russia is and how actually badly people live not far away from St. Petersburg, Moscow. Even those of you who visited Russia most probably visited big cities, capitals, cultural or political, and may have this image of a big, strong Russian city. In reality, the majority of Russian cities and towns are very poor and miserable. And that is actually an explanation why they love coming to Ukraine, an opportunity to loot, to steal sneakers, to steal TV sets or laptops. And no, I'm not exaggerating. You've seen that in the videos when they were in Kyiv region or in other regions sending these trophies, these bloody trophies. This is so disgusting to their Russian families, and children were actually wearing sneakers of the killed Ukrainian children. That's insane. But right now, with all these losses that are insane and unacceptable for any country that respects its own people, and it goes without saying that any more or less sane country would have stopped this invasion long ago. But in Russia, they don't care about human life. And first, they hope that 250 soldiers that invaded Ukraine in 2022 will be enough. After they've lost many of them, they started working with private armies like Wagner Group. But it did not work out. As you remember, a coup started and Prigozhin even walked in the direction of the Kremlin. And somehow these private armies were very dissatisfied with the way Russian generals and Russian Ministry of Attack organized war, if it's possible to say so. So Putin had to stop using services of private armies. And if you want to see Putin stopped and Putin imprisoned, subscribe. Once again, I'm sure we will discuss that on the channel sometime soon, and we will celebrate the victory of all the freedom-loving people. So after the changes in the attitudes to private armies like Wagner Group, Putin started spending lots and lots and lots of money on people who can sign contract with the Russian army, and they get $20,000, which is a huge sum of money for people coming from miserable Russian districts. And many of them joined, but they are not enough, because literally every month Russia loses tens of thousands of their soldiers killed and wounded. And no, it's not my Ukrainian optimism. Have a look at the Kursk operation. They literally do not have people to protect their borders. They don't have people to organize counter-offensive there. They can do nothing. And even those people whom they send, they are super unprepared and very unprofessional, and of course not motivated at all. They are only motivated to come and loot in Ukraine. They don't know what to do inside Russia. And based on these logics, based on real facts, Russian commanders, Russian Ministry of Defense are begging Putin to start a new wave of mobilization, and he is not ready. Actually, many experts believe that one of the reasons why Ukraine has started its special military operation to Kursk was to make Putin announce another wave of mobilization that can potentially lead to serious dissatisfaction and chaos inside the Russian society, as they start conscripting, mobilizing people from well-off cities where they actually have some self-respect, and they can organize in groups, they can organize meetings and so on. Personally, I do not have any hope for Russian population to demand something. They can simply die out like dinosaurs, and that is the only solution for this problem. And that is actually why we need total defeat, total military defeat of Russia if we actually want to save more people's lives. And I'm not talking only about Ukrainians, I'm also talking about Russians. Please accept that their mindset is very crazy and they don't value human life. And if you want to save these human lives, you have to interfere. And right now, all of the generals, all of the commanders are pushing Putin to announce another wave of mobilization, and he's afraid of that. The last wave was in 2022, and they are already in the black bags or sacks, I don't know, but you know. And the majority of those who are fighting now are less professional than the ones that began the invasion. And with each month, with each year, the quality of these invaders will be lower. Putin understands that, and that's why they use these weapons of mass terror. They target nursery homes, they target hospitals in Ukraine to make people flee. You know, when Ukraine started conscription or mobilization, by the way, let me know in the comments below what is the best way to describe that, because whenever I use one term, there are always people who tell me the other one is correct. So mobilization, drafting, conscription, you clearly understand what I mean, but what is the difference between them? And Ukraine succeeds right now. It is always a difficult process because no one wants to leave home and to start living totally different life. Like a war ago, you were a doctor and now you are, I don't know, a sniper. Well, maybe doctors remain doctors, but like IT specialist. And now you are a tank commander. It's difficult, but Ukraine succeeded. We conscript 6,500 people per month, which is a lot. Russia has approximately a couple of thousands, and that is their losses per month. Most importantly, and President Zelensky repeats that, we have 14 new brigades, and we do not have enough equipment for them. We have enough only for 4, and the rest is in delays. And I think it's much better to invest in Ukrainian people than to fight by yourselves. Because once again, if Ukraine falls, Russia will continue. I guarantee you that they are crazy, they are irrational, they are bloodthirsty, and they need wars. And if you want to see them stopped, subscribe and please share those videos that you like on your social media platforms. And that's why this new mobilization, especially if we were brave enough, I don't mean Ukraine, I mean all the countries of the democratic world, to interfere inside of Russia informationally, to demonstrate them the number of their losses, to demonstrate the attitude of Russian army towards their own people, it would be possible to shake Russia from inside. You know, Russia does it to your countries, to the United States, to many EU countries, to Ukraine. So why don't we do this informational combat inside of Russia? I don't understand. This tolerance and this democracy does not work when fighting mass murderers like modern Russian army and its chief commander, criminal Kremlin gobbling Putin. So hopefully this lack of people will lead to serious losses on the battlefields. Lack of motivation. They are not fighting for the motherland like Ukrainians. We don't have a choice. We defend our homes. And Russians, they have come for our sneakers. That's pathetic. That's disgusting, but unfortunately still very violent and still very dangerous. And I was happy to read the analysis of some economic reports that state that actually more and more positions, especially low-paid positions in Russia, are performed by literally children, not even teenagers, like delivering pizza or cleaning. Because all of these people who previously worked on these positions are on the front lines or somewhere dead on the fields. And Russia does not care about them. What is also very ugly and disgusting is that Russian families, I mean from those depressive regions, they actually cheer their children to go and die because they realize that with level of Russian healthcare, with the level of Russian alcoholism, they will die anyway in the coming years. But this way they will also get $20,000 and the Lada. How can you negotiate something with such people if they don't value lives of their own children, siblings, parents? What can you explain to such people when they come to burn your villages, when their own family does not care about them? It is a huge tragedy, and not of Ukraine, of Russia. Moreover, Putin uses his conscription to perform ethnic cleanings, just like Hitler did. And that is even more disgusting because the majority of soldiers in these mid grinders on the front lines are not ethnic Russians. And another important reminder that Russian Federation consists of 22 People's Republic and Russia is just one of them. And right now, Putin robs families of those other republics, solving lots of his problems and controversies that do not go in accordance with his doctrine of the Ruski Mir. He is a very awful creature, and he has to be, you know what, YouTube won't like it, so he has to be imprisoned, I will say. And all those millions that support him has to be punished and de-zombified, and that's a lot of work for us to do. But a lot of work Russian army does by itself, by actually sending these people to meat grinders, and neutralizing them. And there are vivid signals: lack of people in Russia, the need for new mobilization, inability to protect territories in Kursk. And that's good, because once again it proves we can win and we will win. Share if you like to live in a safe and democratic world. Join me tomorrow for our live 9 p.m. Kyiv time. Join me also on Instagram, X, Threads, and Discord. The links that you need are in the description of this video. We have a beautiful merch shop with lots of items that work well as reminders and conversation starters about Ukraine. Thank you so much for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channel. Thank you for your trust and confidence and constant support. It means a lot to me personally and a lot to us all. Slava Ukraini!